The Prime Minister has pledged $20 million to assist boutique breweries and wineries as the nation's economy reopens. Live to Jonathan Lee, who is travelling with the Prime Minister. Jonathan, the Prime Minister has defended his popularity amid soft polling.
Yeah, another interesting day of campaigning for the Prime Minister, who spent the second day in Western Australia, a very, very busy day of campaigning. It's actually the second time that he's returned to Western Australia during this campaign. Today there was a number of grants and announcements. Specifically, his latest one was at Sandalford Wineries, a popular winery on the Swan River. It was for the better part of $20-odd million to assist with boutique wineries, also breweries, to attract events and also effectively attract tourists back to states like Western Australia, where people have been doing it tough during the pandemic. There was, though, some firmer questioning of the Prime Minister. It follows a story in the Australian newspaper today about both leaders' popularity, the fact that so many soft voters exist out there. What's soft voters? Those who have basically made up their minds but still might swing in a different direction because they don't particularly like either party or either leader. So I asked the Prime Minister why he's unpopular at the moment. Why do voters not like you?
As I've said throughout this campaign, this election is a choice, and the choice is about who is best able to manage our Australian economy and who has a strong economic plan to deal with the challenges that Australians face.
Danica, we often talk when leaders go around the country's critical areas, critical seats. There's two in the north of Tasmania that everyone talks about. There's a couple in Queensland, Longman, which is north of Brisbane, and also Leichhardt up around Cairns, which the Coalition focuses on. And here in Western Australia, it's about Pearce, Swan and Hasluck, three marginal seats. Now, the Coalition's trying to protect those. It's also looking at the Labor seat of Cowan. Today, the PM went to Cowan. It was a $1.6 million announcement for a local community centre there with the Vietnamese community. We're currently in Hasluck. We're at the wineries talking about vineyards and local tourism. When he was with the migrant group, he was talking specifically about Australia's community values and how we've come through the pandemic. It's a line that he's trotted out a few times down in Chisholm in Victoria in the migrant communities, and it's one that plays well with voters and for very good reason.
Do you know how in a rope there's lots of little strands that go into that rope? Have you seen that before? When you put a rope together, it's all weaved together like that. That's what Australia's like. Australia, all those little strands are from the various countries and religions and backgrounds that people have come from. Just like your parents and those that have come to settle and be here and live their lives and raise their family here, right in the seat of Cowan.
What is very clear, though, is that while the Prime Minister is campaigning at a feverish rate, it is certainly very heavily stage managed. Everywhere the Prime Minister goes, we see the party faithful who are lined up and ready to greet him, and he's well received and respected there. It's different, though, if he gets out and does a street walk or a lack there of the street walk. So far, I've only seen one in the better part of the last week. It was a fairly positive bag, a little mix for him when he got out and about in the public. We would certainly like to see a few more of those to see how he is received, but amongst the party faithful, there's plenty of pats on the back. We expect from here we will get back on the plane and go over east, as they like to say in Western Australia. We think we're heading back to Melbourne and then eventually Sydney for another debate. It's extraordinarily likely, though, that the Coalition will be heading up to Queensland. There's a lot of work to do, sandbagging seats up in Queensland. The Coalition has a high watermark there as a consequence of the last election. They can't afford to lose those seats. That's where the Prime Minister will be focusing his attention next week. Danica.
OK, Jonathan Lee, live in Perth, thank you.